discuss matters around men in the context of International Men's Month. And today, we're discussing present fathers. And we're joined virtually by entrepreneur T.T. Mba and his father, Siram Mba, who's joined us in studio. So they are the co-hosts of SABC2 TV series Like Timer, Like Ntwana, which features fathers and sons, uncles and nephews, or grandfathers and grandsons sharing their stories and journeys. The goal really is to foster open conversations and healthy relationships between men and their children, which is the basis of today's discussion, as we'll be exploring the importance of being a present father and how men can positively impact their families and communities.
Avanda, we've got a father here, like a Shabc. He's a successful businessman, and he's got two sons. There's one who's definitely able.
I use that to negative.
Yeah.
But actually, now that I'm talking about the challenge, I need to attend to more.
I don't know, it's a way of you kind of get used to having the challenges. So, when I know, how do you handle that when you see people being insensitive towards you and your brother?
Catch Like Timer, Like Ntwana every Thursday evening at 8:30 on SABC2.
Well, that was the Mbaz, and they join us in studio and virtually. The Mbaz, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning.
Very good morning to you too. Hey, Tom.
Away. Good to have you, gents, on the show. Mbaz, I'm going to start with you. Let's talk about, what kind of boy was TT growing up, and just looking at him as the man and the father that he is today. Would you say that your efforts in raising him paid off, and he became the person that you've dreamt he was going to be?
Yes, in direct response to your question, he was a naughty boy. But
I love the honesty, though. I love the honesty.
But with time, he really changed.
Yeah.
He really what he is.
Right.
And I couldn't have asked for a better son.
Yes.
True. Yeah.
Well, Titi, let me also rope you in. I love your father's honesty. The fact that he was telling us how naughty you were, but you became, a really inspirational figure, not only in your family, but nationally. And you founded Amatyma, which is a movement that is doing so well that the Department of Social Development in Gauteng even awarded you, for the work that you do. Let's talk about your inspiration behind establishing an organization that looks at, focusing on men and their roles as fathers in society.
So firstly, good morning, Simpu, and good morning to all the SABC viewers. So Amatyma Brotherhood Circle was established in 2020 during the height of COVID. I found myself having different discussions with different men and friends of mine about, our wellness challenges during this time. I think lockdown really, unlocked a lot of, things about ourselves that we never knew, such as wellness, our state of mental wellness as black men is something that we've been denying for the longest time.
Yeah.
Through we were able to have those frank conversations. And I thought to myself, let me create a bigger platform for us men to be able to engage amongst ourselves when it comes to challenges around our physical wellness, mental wellness, and of course, financial wellness. I think, men don't like to talk about money. The minute you talk to men about money, their ego comes into play. So I thought, let me start a brotherhood circle where we can actually have those robust conversations, especially when it comes to the scourge of gender-based violence.
Right. And what are some of the specific challenges that men face, when trying to balance work, personal growth, and family?
I think one of the greatest challenges that we face as men is the fact that, we are expected to protect, we're expected to provide, and expected to love, but no one is giving us the love that we are giving.
Sure.
And I think it's one of the biggest challenges that we are challenging our partners, women, and everybody around to say, men actually do also have feelings. This whole notion that indoda aikali is something that is actually, we need to change in terms of our thinking, and we need to unlearn. And through these conversations that we engage on with different men from all walks of life, by the way, men who are single, married, divorced, and widowed, we actually get to understand that we all have challenges that are different because we come from different backgrounds, but similar in so many ways.
Right. Dr. Sirame, how do you define a positive role model for children, and how can fathers embody this in their everyday lives?
Look, well, I really personally would like to see it as an educational trip. When I was there as a father, and Tato and the sister were growing up, the mindset was certainly more different than it is now. And that mindset, I believe, has got to change.
Yeah.
Certain things need to change, because if you rebuke a child by beating the child up, the stubbornness still remains in them. So I really believe that change, and I believe I've changed in terms of what should happen now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you share a story with us, Ndata Sirame, on, about a moment when you felt like you really made an impact as a father?
Yeah, look, the belief out there as a father that was strict at the time, there was that belief that it's actually a cultural thing.
Yes.
I want to set up growing my son exactly like what my father did to me when I was growing up, But with time, as I said earlier, there's got to be a change, because it didn't really achieve much of a good, positive result. So that's a lesson personally I've learned. And I would like to throw it out there to dads that don't want to change, that please, we've got to change.
Yeah. And Titi, I'm going to pose the same question to you, to share a personal story or a moment where you felt you've truly made an impact as a father.
Well, I think for me, just by virtue of creating a show that I can co-host with my dad is impact enough. There's no show like this in the world where a father and son duo get to actually engage with other fathers and sons, uncles and nephews, grandfathers and grandsons on topics that really resonate with men in terms of their wellness. And for me, it's a great achievement. And I also like to implore the SABC for being such a responsible broadcaster and allowing us to have these conversations. If you look around, there's not too many shows that address issues around men and boys from a positive point of view. It's always the negative stuff. Men are trash. Men are not doing this. So we actually deliberately and intentionally want to highlight that there are actually some very solid and healthy relationships between men and boys out there that we need to shine a spotlight on.
Yeah. And how can men create a safe and open environment where their children, feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and emotions with their fathers?
I think it's important for a lot of dads to have an open line of communication with their kids. I think we need to, obviously, like my dad said earlier on, change the way we've been taught and unlearn a lot of things. So, for example, having frank conversations with the girl child about menstruation from a father's point of view is something that's almost unheard of. And these are things that we want to encourage around the Amatyma Brotherhood Circle to teach men about menstruation. Yeah.
Are there any generational differences in how fathers approach communication with their kids today compared to your generation and even previous generations?
Yes, definitely. It's quite big, because during my time with my father, I could hardly talk in the same room with my father. And that was actually a disaster.
Sure.
But, having seen that happen, again, I want to repeat, it was definitely a learning curve for me. It introduced a mode of change in myself, my attitude, and how I should actually communicate with my son, to bring him closer to myself in terms of that understanding and building that relationship. And I would like to say, fathers must really begin to adopt the type of style in their son's upbringing. Yes.
Indeed, and you're making a very valid point, and the mistake that most fathers make is they tend to cross the line in terms of instilling discipline. They overdo it to a point where they instill a cloud of fear, and the children become so fearful of their fathers. So how then, as fathers, do we balance, to strike a healthy balance between being strict and opening lines of communication between our children?
Yeah, look, it's again a learning curve. It's not very easy to change overnight.
Yeah.
But learning to accept the fact that by being over strict, as I said earlier on, and beating up your child doesn't really bear positive results.
Yeah.
He can actually get worse. And some of the crimes envisaged, are a build-up from there, because he will go the other way to what you really want to instill in him in terms of what you want to enact as a disciplinary measure.
Yeah. And Titi, let's
Yeah.
talk another scourge which is affecting most men or fathers, that of being denied, their sons or presence in their sons' lives, as it were, as a result of custody battles with baby mamas, as it were, or any other issue. How do we overcome that?
I think we need to take on, the government when it comes to that, especially because there's so many men out there that are being denied access to their children, and that does cause a lot of mental wellness related challenges. If you look at how men, when it comes to the issue of suicide, we have more men committing suicide because of the mental wellness issues and the financial struggles that men go through when it comes to having access to their children. A case in point is one of the episodes dealt with a father who went through a struggle of 8 years just to get access to their child.
Yeah.
And that 8 came at a cost. I mean, the guy spent more than $500,000 rands just trying to fight this battle in court. And that money or those funds could have actually gone to the greater benefit of their child in terms of their education.
All right, gentlemen, lovely chatting to you, man. And we love the work that you're doing. Keep on keeping on, man. We really are inspired, eh?
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much.
much. And also thank you again to the SABC for being such a responsible broadcaster and allowing such programs that are actually building our communities one family at a time, one father at a time, one son at a time.
All right. Can I bring my father on your show? Me and my father.
Yes, yes, sir.
Please, season 2.
In fact, we want to
definitely
invite
bring your
more.
father.
I know he's watching right now. Brad Jimmy, you heard it. The invitation is open to you, man. All right, that was T.T. Mba and his father, Sabc Mba, helping us explore fatherhood and the relationships between men and boys, and just how men should trigger frank conversations between fathers, sons, uncles, nephews, and grandfathers and grandsons. The goal really, is to build a nation of good men by discussing topics such as absent fathers, role modeling, and family legacy.